10 ways to spot a cannabis farm being grown. They're not one of those legal cannabis farms with the big greenhouses and the lights because they've paid the necessary fee to the necessary people and they are allowed to grow their cannabis. We're talking about you out there, ordinary people who haven't paid the fee to the right people, you know? So let's take a look at this. So then you can pay attention to what they're looking for and then you know to be cautious, not to be expressing any of these red flags. So this is from the BBC. Grab your salt. You know how it goes, everybody. Big, hefty pinch there. 10 ways to spot a cannabis farm being grown. Cannabis plants worth hundreds of thousands of pounds have been seized in the east of England over the past year. And check out the numbers in this article as well. This is crazy. One senior police officer in the region said he wanted to debunk the narrative that cannabis was harmless. Data published in January showed more than 500,000 cannabis plants were discovered in England and Wales in 2022 to 2023. That's a genocide, in my opinion. That is 500,000 plants. Damn. Just think of how much carbon footprint was reduced by all those plants being grown. Just saying. Cannabis has released police have released a checklist to tell the telltale signs a cannabis farm is being grown. So cannabis farm signs, this is the heading here. Curtains and windows closed and drawn even in hot weather. But if it's really hot, you're supposed to leave your curtains closed anyway, just stop the sun getting in and making the room really hot, right?
That's what I was thinking when I saw that one. I don't think that's a sign at all. I think that's just someone trying to not melt.
You know what I mean? Well, maybe you got nosy bastard neighbors that keep looking through your fucking windows, so you leave the curtains closed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't really a fucking. So we'll ignore number one, okay?
Yeah.
Strange comings and goings from the address with vehicles attending late at night. What do you mean?
Yeah. Is it a brothel, maybe?
You know, exactly.
Maybe somebody who just likes to order a lot of takeout.
You know what I mean? Maybe they order Chinese food because you eat Chinese food and 20 minutes later you're hungry again for more Chinese food. You know what I'm saying? Deliveroo, Amazon, sometimes they show up late. Number two seems a little bit like bullshit as well. Next, smells coming from the address that could indicate cannabis is being grown. What smell is that?
Hard to get that one.
What if
it stinks like weed, it probably is weed.
And if you know the smell, of growing cannabis, it's pretty fucking obvious, But this is, two of these here already. One of them strange comings and goings from the address with vehicles attending late at night. That's if you're selling weed. That's breaking rule number 2, right? Don't tell, don't sell, cover the smell. That's the 3 rules for growing cannabis safely. So that's rule number 2 broken. And then the third one there, smells coming from the address that could indicate cannabis is being grown. Again, breaking rule number 3. So you've already got these covered. If you're following the rules, you should already have those covered. Next one, we've got light coming from roof spaces or leaking through the building in odd places. What does that look like? There's cracks in the wall or something? What the fuck is that even supposed to mean?
What if I'm an up-and-coming DJ and I'm just practicing in my yard? You know
What if you got like a sunbed and you just like laying on the sunbed? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got an at-home tanning bed?
Well, doesn't everybody have one of those?
Oh, yeah.
No, but hey, I don't know what it's like in the UK.
Yeah, it's cold. I'll tell you that. It's cold and dreary. So and be careful of that one as well, of course, everybody. I mean, if you've got these powerful lights running, LEDs, HPS, especially if it's a blurple light, and if it's HPS, it's going to be glowing orange. So it does, it does cause a bit of caution. So make sure that you do have blackout curtains up and shit like that to make sure that no light is leaking out. When shit is set up and the lights are on and stuff, go outside, have a look. Don't be too dodgy about it. Pop to the shop and come back, and on the way back, take notes, see if there's any light leaks, and if there are, get them covered because they are looking out for random strange lights just glowing through your windows there. So be careful of that. Next, sound of fans constantly running in the address. This is a difficult one to overcome because, sounds of fans is a pretty obvious one, especially if you're running a big extractor, then you're running a couple of fans inside the tents as well. That vibration that's caused by them fans, that can be a problem. But you can,
but
it's
how many
easily
do you
done
have
with.
to hear it from outside, really, though?
Well, it depends how thin the walls are, doesn't it? Yeah. And yeah, to hear it from outside, it's not going to be likely, is it? Especially if there's like the sound of the traffic going past as well. It's not going to be likely, you know. And I don't know, if you got aircon running as well, then people would just see that as aircon. Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't see it as a cannabis fan. Just because you can hear fans, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know, you're growing cannabis. You know what I mean?
Right.
Next one, which has already been pointed out in chat there, cables running to and from lampposts nearby.
Jesus. That's so ridiculous. Do people actually still do that?
I don't think so. Maybe they do. I don't know. These old Bill, they're going to know better. They see these grows.
I don't know if you guys have seen Trailer Park Boys, but it's just very Trailer Park Boy-esque. When you have the cables running to a nearby lamppost.
You know what I mean? Random sparks just flying from it, you know?
Yeah.
So make sure there's no cables running from the lights outside your house into your house, everybody, because that's what they're looking for as well.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
Look at this one. Rubbish bags full of garden-related waste.
Oh, no.
What do you mean we're going to compost that stuff?
Yeah, that's right. But then your composter, make sure that's getting used properly. But man, here in the UK, I don't know if you guys are aware because you're not in the UK, but there's constant like bin men strikes where they don't want to come out and collect the bins. You get the bin for the rubbish from a household, you get a bin for recycling, and you get a bin for garden waste as well. And they never collect these fucking things. So bags of garden waste just laying around isn't really a dodgy thing, unless it's in the wintertime, I suppose, because nobody's got piles of grass to get rid of when it's fucking December, January. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and obviously just don't leave piles of fucking leaf just laying around outside front of your house. That's crazy talk. You know?
That is a sign.
Yeah. Next up, we got occupants and visitors rarely seen except at odd hours of the day. Maybe people work nights, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Fuck, that was my neighborhood. Seriously.
Yeah. And condensation on the windows again could be a brothel. You know?
Yeah, could be a brothel.
You know, lots of heavy breathing. You know, doesn't necessarily mean cannabis grow.
Your windows.
What if you're running a hot yoga shop?
Yeah.
Yeah, condensation is one though. That it definitely is an issue, but that can happen with or without a cannabis grow going on. You know, just you know, it's like when you boil a big pot of potatoes and all that steam is escaping around the house, and it's cold outside, so then that moisture is hitting the window and condensating. It just means that you cook a lot of potatoes, man. It doesn't necessarily mean there's a cannabis grow out there. But bear that in mind as well.
Getting a knock on the door while you're cooking. Oh, we've seen all the condensation on your windows.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? And so we assume it's a cannabis grow.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn.
I read an article in the BBC. I'm informed now.
You know, it's the best way to be informed is to read articles from the BBC. Here we have here large amounts of fertilizer taken to the address at odd times. I would say large amount of fertilizer being taken to the address at any time is a little bit fucking shady.
Yeah, I mean, if it's between certain hours, it's okay.
You know what I mean? It's like at odd times. What does that even mean? What is an odd time?
Early morning, late night. I mean,
you know what I mean, there's people skulking around with bags of fucking fertilizer on their back. It's just turning dark, you know. They got that stripy jumper on, you know, the red and black one with a little mask on, the black beret, you know, looking like a mime, sneaking in, robbery Bob style, you know the guy. God damn. So yeah, what a load of bollocks. You know? So this article carries on here. Richard Lewis, the National Police Chiefs Council National Lead on Drugs, said the rise in the number of cannabis farms could be down to the decline of many high streets, which he said created an opportunity for criminals. Commercial properties are attractive to organized crime groups for a whole host of reasons, said Mr. Lewis, who is Chief Police Constable of Daffyd Powys. That's a place. Large-scale shops have closed down, and therefore the footprint to produce cannabis on larger scale becomes available. And yeah, that's it. There's so many places closing down in the UK. I mean, we're going through a recession. They won't tell you that because, you know, they don't want you to know that. But yeah, we're clearly going in a recession. We're having all these huge companies being like, oh, we've gone bust or going into administration all the time. It's got a couple every week. You've got going into administration here in the UK, but they just don't tell you about that. You got all these buildings closing down. And yeah, people are just moving in there and putting on huge fucking cannabis grows. It's ridiculous. It's happening all the time. It's like whenever I search for news articles for the show, it'll just be, bust here. There's been 100 plants found here, 2,000 plants here. And it's just all the time. Like 90% of the articles are just about busts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous, man. It's like, come on, there's clearly a demand for this. Why don't you properly legalize and regulate so you can make money off it rather than always having to pay for it with the taxpayers' money to fix these things? You know, they send the police around to bust up these grows and then fix up the places. It's ridiculous, man. Well, we got here. Large-scale shops have closed down, and therefore the footprint to produce cannabis on a larger scale becomes available. Police forces across the east of England have made a concerted effort in recent years to crack down on cannabis growing sites. Because, you know, the government have now got their friends who are growing cannabis legally. They don't want anybody getting in the way there and, you know, cutting into their profits. They can't have that. So they've got to send out their gang, a.k.a. the police force, the policy enforcers. They've got to go out there and make sure nobody's cutting into their bottom line, haven't they? That's right. And the taxpayer will foot the bill. I won't get into rant mode. Who are we? Between February and October, Suffolk and Norfolk police officers seized cannabis valued at over £8 million and made 160 arrests as part of Operation Orbit. What a shit name. More recently, Gianni Murita, 37, was jailed for 10 months after 158 cannabis plants and a large sum of cash were found at an address in Anne Beaumont Way in Hadley, Suffolk. Look at that money on the screen. Yes. Serious crime connections. That's the small head in there. According to police, those responsible for growing and dealing Class A drugs are also often connected to other serious crimes, including sexual exploitation. In January, before Operation Orbit was launched, a cannabis factory was found in an abandoned building on Arcade Street in Ipswich town centre. Up to 600 plants were seized from the derelict site behind the town hall and corn exchange that was formerly home to Distinction nightclub, and prior to that, Sound Academy. The 6 members of the drug gang behind it were jailed in July, having been arrested and then charged with cannabis cultivation. The arrests and seizures have been connected to an array of offences from Class A drug supply to industrial-scale cannabis farms and money laundering. Sergeant Dave Logan from the Ipswich-based South Sentinel team said, "We have been able to increase the amount of work we do, which has led to more arrests, drugs, and cash seizures, and more importantly, more individuals being remanded in prison. I am mindful we target all those responsible with this illicit trade because, you know, they don't want to cut into the bottom line of the government's friends. From the higher crime group, members who profit most and inflict the most suffering through violence and debt bondage." See, I said debt there. Debt. Now, why did I put that B there? It makes no sense. Anyway, to the on the street dealers and end users who selfishly drive on Suffolk's road whilst under the influence of drugs. Selfishly. Fucking dickheads, man. In November, Carolis Caponis, 31, was found hiding under loft insulation in a house on Mount Batten Way, Peterborough, admitted producing cannabis. Officers found 84 plants with a street value of up to £70,000 during the raid. In Cambridgeshire, a cannabis farm packed with plants believed to be worth more than £700,000 was found by police following a tip-off. Maybe they had dodgy people going there backwards and forwards with fertilizer and stuff. Officers discovered the drugs factory spread across 3 rooms at a terrace house in Judson Court, Huntington, in Cambridgeshire on November 1st. In Essex, meanwhile, plants with an estimated street value of £250,000 were uncovered at the Foundry Industrial Estate in Hockley, near Southend. More than 250 plants and a similar number of seedlings were seized. Just to wrap this up here, we've got blight on the area. In Bedfordshire, cannabis factories saw organised crime groups profit from an excess of 50 million a year, according to Bedfordshire Police. And this is just a reasonably small town in the UK. 328,000 cannabis plants and 66 kilograms of processed cannabis had been seized since the start of the financial year. Since January, there had been 42 arrests in relation to cultivation and production of cannabis, which resulted in 28 charges. Deputy Chief Superintendent Duncan, maybe that is, Duncan Young said, "We often come up against the narrative that cannabis is harmless, but it is important we expose what sits behind the cultivation and selling of these legal drugs. Homes of vulnerable people are overtaken. This is an exploitation practice known as cuckooing. Young people are groomed and used to sell these drugs across Bedfordshire. This is county lines exploitation. These young people's education, home life, and future prospects are negatively impacted. This is harm, and this is caused by cannabis and other illegal drugs." Let me just cut in here. Nothing there is down to cannabis. Nothing is down to cannabis there. That is down to cannabis being illegal. So you're saying cannabis is harmful, but where has the cannabis been harmful there? What's been harmful is being caught in the act of growing or supplying cannabis to somebody. That's not cannabis causing harm. That's the fact that we have archaic laws for cannabis in the UK. That's what's causing these problems. They're absolutely fucking ridiculous. How can he be so naive?
Anyway. All that would be gone if it was legal. Like all that problem.
You know, and all this 50 million flowing into the hands of to drug gangs, that wouldn't be happening.
Right.
You know? Yep. But cannabis is the fucking problem here. No stupid fucking ignorant police officers who do nothing about these ridiculous laws. That's the fucking problem. These people need to go and report to their MPs and shit. I mean, the police are just doing their jobs and they're being told what to do by the MPs essentially. But they need to go there and say, yo, this is bullshit. We can't keep doing this. It's a waste of resources. We've just taken down all of these people, but they've just been replaced by another bunch of people. People are coming in from Albania and all over the world, but majority Albania right now coming into the UK to grow ridiculous amounts of cannabis. Because if they're caught with it, they can just fuck off back home. It's ridiculous, man. And the only thing that's going to fix it is proper legalization and regulation. You can't tell me that they don't see it. Surely they see it. You know, and it's ridiculous. If they put the amount of work which they put into these cannabis farms as they do to these fucking rape gangs going around the country, then maybe we wouldn't have such a big problem. But they ignore that. They ignore actual serious crime with real victims so they can stop people from growing a harmless fucking herb. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. And it fucking enrages me, but I won't continue to rant. Let's just finish off this article. Sadly, it doesn't end there. Drugs are at the root of a huge percentage of antisocial behavior and violence we experience in our country. Yes, because it's illegal and they need to fucking defend their illegal products. And see, it's got me ranty, isn't it? It's got me got my heckles up. You know what I'm saying? Each cannabis factory we shut down creates a lifeline for an exploited individual. By reporting what you know, see and hear about drug activity in your area, we know where and when to strike next. You know where and when to strike next? Fucking Houses of Parliament, you useless bastards. Go change the laws. That will fix everything. Simple as that. Yeah. Simple. Instead of kicking off all the doors in these fucking houses and these estates all around the country, you got to go down to London, you got to go to Westminster, you got to kick the doors off there and make sure that the laws get changed, and then these problems go away. Fixed. Some random stoner on a Sunday night on a live stream on the fucking internet can tell you that. And you can't figure it out? Shame on you. Shame. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you for the full show on Sundays on youtube.com/high on homegrown. Thanks for watching.